It's day 8 of 14 days thinking about Catherine of Aragon, and today we're thinking about her pregnancy, confinement, and the birth of Mary I. This was most likely her 5th pregnancy. Her physicians were nervous. She was nervous, and she was taking all the advice possible, medical and non-medical advice. Prior to the pregnancy, she'd taken various religious pilgrimages to ask for help in conceiving and in having viable and good pregnancies and births. When the professionals decided that birth was reasonably imminent, it would be time for her to go into confinement. So just prior to that, she would have an elaborate mass at church to ask for God's blessing, and then the men and the women of the Privy Chamber and Privy Council, not the king, would return to the great chamber where they would have spices and wine, and eventually the men would leave and just the women would remain. Now typically then she wouldn't see a man until after the birth of the baby unless there was a problem. So the women had to be trustworthy, they had to be of good character, and they would act in all different roles, ones that were normally taken by the men, such as cupbearers and butlers. So it'd be a full female crew, including professional midwives. In this case, it does seem that she actually asked for her male physician to attend the birth, which was unusual. But it seems that he did, although I have seen 2 different names of who that was in different sources. The chamber itself was supposed to replicate a womb-like environment. It was warm and dark. It was supposed to be dim enough to protect the mother's eyes. It was carpeted to be sort of warm and cosy. All the windows had to be shut bar one, just to let in a small amount of air and light. There would have been tapestries on the wall. The fleur-de-lis was used as a representation of the Virgin Mary, but also as a kind of emblem of English control over France. The room actually contained 2 beds, sort of the main bed, which was 8 foot by 8 foot and had purple and crimson on it, and then there was a pallet bed to the side which was 10 by 8 foot, and the idea is that she could move around, but also that all of her ladies could sleep with her or next to her if they so wished, or if she wished them to. I was so nervous about not upsetting Catherine and making sure everything went smoothly that her father, Ferdinand, actually died in the January, and she wasn't told about it until after Mary had been born. Labour was long and difficult, as they so often are. Mary, Princess Mary, was born at 4 o'clock in the morning on the 18th of February at Greenwich Palace. Now, while famously Catherine and Henry weren't too disappointed by the birth of a girl, they both seemed quite content in the idea that they would go on to have more children. The celebrations definitely weren't as grand as they would have been if it were a boy, and there are very brief mentions. If you look at the letters that are on record for the time, it's hardly mentioned, and if it is, it's very much just a passing statement that Catherine's given birth to a girl. And apparently when the messenger arrived at Cambridge University to give the news of a girl, he was given significantly less money and wine as he had been when he delivered the news of a boy. Mary was baptised on the 20th of February at the Church of the Observant Friars near Greenwich Palace, which is where her parents got married. The details of her baptism are actually quite interesting, but I won't list them all here because I've talked about it in quite a lot of detail. If you go back to my 118 series, day 32, so 15-16, I talk about the baptism and the different people that were there and the different godparents. So you can find that there if you are interested. So that's where I leave you for today. Catherine is a mother again. We know that this one is going to, thank goodness, last. So I'll see you tomorrow for day 9 when we're going to talk a little bit about those early years of motherhood for Catherine. See you then.